In this video we're going to cover the new vector rangefinder that is introduced to our content pack by AGM. The vector rangefinder looks like this in your inventory. When you look through it, you have a different reticule. The vector has a glass reticule, and that is to say its optic has painted onto it a reticle in the center there, which allows you to center your range-finding dot without actually holding down your distance or azimuth key. You'll also note that it has markings along the X and Y axis there. Those correspond to mil dots. So for those of you who don't know, a mil dot corresponds at a distance of 1 kilometer. So let's see if we can find 1 kilometer here. Right about here. So at 1 kilometer away, a single mil dot corresponds for 1 meter of horizontal measurement. So the vector has its mil dots set in a point line spacing system there. So a dot is a point, a line is a line. Each dot, each point from the reticule is 5 mil dots, so 5 meters. And that obviously means that each line is 10 meters. So it has marked all the way down there as you go. 1, 2, 3, 30 is marked. 4, 5, 50 is marked. So that gives you a quick reference to what your spacing is. So for example here, 1 kilometer away, I know that this distance is about 5 meters. This distance is about 10. And this distance is about 30. This also works horizontally. Of course, with the inclination and distance changing of this, the measurements for the vertical are a little less reliable for horizontal in most cases. However, you can still use them as a rough estimate for tracking your shots or whatever it is you're using the mil dots for. Now, since this is a rangefinder, you cannot actually use it to laser designate, so it still does not technically take the place of the laser designator. However, after seeing all the features of the vector, you might start using it a bit more. So the vector can operate just like any other basic rangefinder. When you first zoom down, you look down the optic, there's nothing that really indicates what the range is to a target. I don't know how far that rock is, and it doesn't seem to tell me. So just like in real life, the vector has an azimuth key and a distance key. The azimuth key is bound to default tab, and the distance key is bound to default R. So say I want the distance to this bush right here. I'm going to hold R, wait for the electronic reticule to pop up, and then release R, 1486 meters. If I wanted to find what bearing that is from me, I would hold down tab, get the electronic reticule, and it says 241 degrees. So that's how you operate the basic functions of it. Now let's get into the more complicated functions. You get the horizontal and vertical distance of something from you. To do that, you click distance and then hold it. Release the reticule, and there you go. You have 1238 meters straight, where I holding the vector at no inclination, 0 degrees incline. It's 1238 meters to that point on the y-axis, and it is 221 meters down from 0 degree inclination. Generally, you're just going to use your straight up distance, and that measures your slope. So the y equals mx plus b, it's the m of that equation. Two objects distance, or rather the distance between those two objects, I would hold my distance key, and then I would click azimuth. So that's my first object. Now I'm going to do this bush right here will be my second. I'm going to release my distance key, and there's 23 meters between these two objects. Now say I wanted to find the horizontal and vertical distance between those two objects. So not from me, but between those two objects. I would click distance and then hold it. Then I would click azimuth. That gives me my first. aim at my next object, release distance, and you can see it is 22 to the left and 21 up, and this is in meters. Now say I wanted to find the azimuth as well as the incline. This again is also helpful for spotting and setting up shots for indirect fire and long range precision fire. So we'll use this oil well right here. I want to know what the incline on this is, so I'm going to click and hold my azimuth. So that'll give me the actual azimuth to the target, 236 degrees, and the inclination, which is -8 degrees. Say I want to know the azimuth from a particular object, another object is, as well as the distance. So in this case, I'll use the oil well to this bush right here. I want to know what's the bearing from this oil well to that, as well as the distance. So to find that, I'm going to hold my azimuth. I'm going to click, once I have my target sighted, I'm going to click my distance button, get that 1p, and I aim at my next target, let go. So from that oil well, that bush is bearing 217 and is 57 meters away. Now something that we in A3G do not seem to do that much, but perhaps with this new rangefinder we will start doing, is proper spotter correctness for our fire missions and for our precision marksmen. So with the vector, you have access to a function called fall of shot. Now what that does is it allows you to make corrections off of shots based on what your target was. So say my target is that little block coming off the oil well there. So I'm going to rapidly click and hold my azimuth button. Then I'm going to click my distance. That's my first point. Now I'm going to click where the shot actually landed. So we'll say it hit right at the edge of that pipe there. I'm going to aim on target and release. So left 1, that means the needs to be to move my shot left 1 meter and add 6 meters. If I press my distance key again, it'll tell me the up. So since the real life is a three-dimensional world, so we have your X, which is left to right. You have your Y, which is up to down on a 2D plane. And then when you add the third dimension, up and down, that gets you to your 3 dimensions. So to adjust the shot for if it was hit right here, I would go left 1, add 6, and up 1. And you can cycle between the various corrections by pressing your distance key. So in order to change the measurement settings on the vector, you have to press the azimuth key 5 times in rapid succession. As you could probably hear on my keyboard, that didn't always work. It displays the current azimuth as well as the distance. So right now it's using degrees and meters, standard instruments, units, whatever it is. To cycle through that, you press your distance key, R. So now it's using mils, radians. Now it's using feet. And you can just use R to cycle through those. Now, if you don't save it properly, it'll say old unit. To save, you just press it 5 times again. So, unit settings. Say I want to change to radians now. Store. And that's what it looks like. I'm going to tap my distance key 3 times. You might need to just kind of, there we go, config. This isn't really necessary because we don't use the night vision is built in, so you don't have to use the night vision accessory that comes with the vector in real life. However, were you to want to do that for whatever reason, once you set it to the proper settings, you just smash it again, you store, and you notice that it got brighter there. So with that on, it's a lot brighter. Now you see at nighttime, I can see it, I can read it easily. It's very bright. The electronic ridicule is on, so I can see it at all times. And that would be if I did not have the glass ridicule, which is the marks that you see with the mil dots and no lines and numbers. Go ahead and turn this off, off, off. Store. You see it got a lot less bright, and the ridicule, the electronic ridicule, is no longer there. So that's it. That's the vector rangefinder. See, there's a lot of features to it, a lot of utility that we can start implementing into our recon and sniper teams, and hopefully people will see what a good tool this is and attempt to play those roles in a bit more realistic way. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something.